What's up, my brother? Now, today's video is going to be a powerful one. I was going to kick it off like every other YouTube video out there and be like, what's up, King? Today I got 5 things that you should focus on instead of chasing women. You ready? But nah, man, when it came down to it, I was just like, you know what I think would be a lot more effective if I just sat here with you and shared a personal story of Bre and I, for those of you that are new, my wife, and kind of like our origin story, how we met, how we first came together. Now, the story of how Bre and I met and how we got together, it's a wild one, bro. Like, literally, if like, this is the type of stuff that you read in like fantasy novels, right? So basically, just for the sake of today's video, I'm gonna keep it real brief. So if Bre and I's story of how we got together was written into a 3-book trilogy, I would say what I'm gonna share with you right now is basically a summary of book 1. And the reason why I want to share this with you is just because it correlates with today's message very well. Okay, so Bre and I, we met online, and I know that doesn't sound like romantic whatsoever. You probably think like, Dre, that's not epic. What, you met online? That's ridiculous. But no, we met at a concert the day before we started talking online. So let me back it up here. Back in 2012, me and my friend at the time, we went to this Christian festival with all these music artists, and the headlining guy was Toby Mac. Some of you may know who he is. So anyways, we go to the concert to go see Toby Mac, and obviously we're both young single guys. We're like 20 at the time, and we got our eyes peeled, right? Like I was telling him beforehand, and I was like, bro, like let's get girlfriends tonight, bro. Like there's bound to be one girl for each of us, right? Out of all these thousands and thousands of people, there's got to be one person, one girl that we think's cute that we can go up to and talk to. So the whole night, man, we got our eyes peeled, right? We're looking and looking, and we don't see one cutie. So the whole night we're just like, what the heck? So anyways, we still had a good time, and we still enjoyed ourselves. And so anyways, long story short, we end up driving home. It's already pretty late, so I just tell him to spend the night. The next morning, I feel my arm shaking, like my friend's shaking my arm like this. And I wake up and I'm like wiping the sleep out my eye. I'm like, what are you doing, my guy? Is everything good? And he's like, Dre, he looks at me and he's like, bro, I found your wife. And he grabs his phone, puts it right in my face, and I'm sitting there in bed and I'm like, whoa. And he shows me a picture of Bre. And in that instant, bro, it's the weirdest thing. I know it sounds ridiculous, that whole love at first sight, but that's what it was, dude. And the second I looked at her, I knew it was my wife. I've never felt like that with any girl ever, bro, ever. It was the weirdest thing. And so I was like, bro, where did you find this girl? And he's like, oh, bro, while you were sleeping, he's like, I was looking at the hashtags from the concert last night, and she popped up, one of her photos. She was at the concert, bro. And I was like, no way, dude. I was like, and then he showed me kind of where they were sitting, and I was like, they were like, her and her friends were so close to us. Like, how did we not spot them out? So anyways, long story short here, like I said, I'm gonna keep it brief. We start talking online. We start talking on Facebook, actually. And so she writes me a message. She says, hey, Dre, I want to invite you to a Cinco de Mayo party that I'm about to have. And so I was stoked. I was like, this is it, bro. I'm about to meet my wife. And then all of a sudden, the night before Cinco de Mayo, I get a message from her on Facebook, and it says, hey, Dre, I'm sorry, but my ex-boyfriend and I decided to get back together. We've been on and off for 4 years. Well, she didn't tell me that, but they had been on and off for 4 years. I figured that out later. But she said he doesn't feel comfortable with you coming to the party. And so she ended up telling me later on, but like she said that he had been seeing me. He had been seeing the comments between Bre and I, and he felt a threat coming on. So he made sure he got back with her ASAP. So anyways, like he saw me coming on, so he made his move. He came back into the picture, and obviously he has those 4 years with her to back him up. They got back together, and he blocked me on her account. So I had no way to communicate with Bre anymore. This bummed me out, bro, because I was like, I thought this was my wife, dude. I heard God telling me like this was my wife, and I've never felt like this before with any woman. And I'm just gonna admit it, bro, like I started becoming obsessive with Bre. And then the fact that I got blocked, now I couldn't see any of her photos anymore. There was just no more connection whatsoever. So I was a little bit frustrated. I was like, God, like why is this happening right now? And so I'm not gonna lie, I created like this like little separate account, like this like secret Instagram account and stuff, so that way I could still kind of go in there and see her photos and stuff like that. I don't mean to sound like a simp or anything like that. You can call it what it is. Yeah, I was obsessed. I was obsessed with Bre, bro. I'm just gonna say it's how it is. And again, I've never felt like this with any other girl, bro. This was not me. Dre didn't act like this towards women. Over these next few weeks, man, I kept getting more and more bummed out, and I was getting confused. I was like, bro, this is supposed to be my wife. And I was like, God, like you told me this was my wife. And so one day when I was having my prayer time with God, all of a sudden I heard him, and it was almost like audibly, bro. It was so crazy, like how clear these instructions were. And I heard him say 2 words: just just wait. Just wait. And so that's exactly what I did. I waited 10 months. 10 months I waited for Bre. And it was crazy because during these 10 months, bro, like I couldn't even date other girls. I tried talking to some, I was hanging out with some, and I just had Bre in the back of my mind the whole time. I was like, nah, bro, like this is supposed to be my wife. I remember I'd have conversations with my dad. Me and my dad, like we had this jacuzzi in our backyard, and for 10 years, when we lived in that house, we would just be out there sometimes till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. We'd spend hours and hours in the jacuzzi just talking about life. That's where like a lot of this information that I feed you guys is from my dad, him just investing the time in me and just feeding me with wisdom. And so anyways, I'm telling him in the jacuzzi, I'm like, bro, like this is supposed to be my wife. I know it is. God's telling me it is. And God's telling me just to wait. And so during these months, it wasn't easy. I was getting extremely frustrated with God, and I just couldn't stop thinking about Bre. So I'll share with you guys the whole rest of the story a little later on in a whole separate video. There's so much that went down after that, especially with her boyfriend, and things just, it was wild, bro. So I'll share that in an entirely different video. The way Bre and I ended up together, it's like, this is one of the main reasons why I believe in God in the first place. Like how it all worked out. It's kind of mind-boggling, bro. Like things should not have worked out between us whatsoever. So anyways, during that season of waiting, I really felt like God, he had me wait for 2 reasons. Number 1, to just build up my faith in him. And number 2, to build up myself as a man, to have me grow. I don't think when I first met Bre before the 10 months, I don't feel like I was quite ready yet. I do think that God's plan was for us to be together. Yes, I just don't think I was capable of bringing that to fruition and materializing that plan, that will. Because like I've said here on this channel, I don't think God is just gonna so easily give up one of his best daughters. And so during this season of waiting, these 10 months, don't get me wrong, it wasn't just me just sitting back, relaxing, and just waiting on God, right? It was far from that. God used this waiting season as a way for me to prepare, to get equipped, and to really build, bro. It's like the story of King David. Before slaying the giant, before the wars, before becoming king, yes, he was waiting for his moment, but he wasn't just sitting around doing nothing, right? Kicking rocks. Before taking down Goliath, he was preparing. He was out herding sheep. He was out fighting off wild animals. He was training. He was playing his harp, which ultimately, this is how he even caught the attention of King Saul, was because he was a musician. He was a musician and a warrior. So all in all, there was a total of 5 things that I believe God had me focusing on during this waiting period, and I think it's really going to connect with you. So kicking it off with number 1, see yourself as a whole person. So many times we see these Hollywood movies where these people are like, oh my gosh, you're just so amazing. You complete me. Without you, I'm nothing. And the only problem with this kind of mindset is that it creates the fear of loss. See, once you get that person where they come into your life, you think to yourself, oh, I'm whole now, right? You complete me. But then that leads to what? Oh my gosh, what if they leave me? What's gonna happen then? I'm gonna be now incomplete. See, check it out. Most men, even you and I, bro, you can't lie. You gotta be real with yourself. Most of us are very needy. There's a state of neediness. That's why we watch these types of videos on how to get a girl and then how to keep a girl. There's this self-generated lack. And we all do this, like I said, bro. Whether it's with women, whether it's with anything, like, oh, if I could just get her, if I could get that kind of success like that guy, whatever it is. We're so needy all the time. We're always in a state of lack, wanting more. See, the mindset that we should have is, okay, yes, you know, I want this goal, I want this girl, I want this thing, I want this success, but hey, before or after it, whether I get it or even whether I don't, I'm still whole. I got God. I'm whole in him, and nothing can diminish or enhance me. For so long, before I even met Bre, I was just so eager and I felt incomplete without a woman. I wanted it so badly. I was in this state of neediness, and the only thing that satisfies neediness, guess what it is? It's more. And then what happens when you get more? You get more money, you get more success. The fear of loss then comes in. You get all these things that you've always wanted, but now you don't want to lose them. And so you're in that cycle of neediness all over again. You just keep needing. You want more, you get more, and then you don't want to lose it. So it's a never-ending cycle. It's like an iPhone, for instance, right? When the new one comes out, the new iPhone, I don't even know what we're on now, iPhone 14 or 15 or whatever. Say the new one comes out. All the money that you saved up, you buy it. You get it, right? And what do that first month or two when you first have that iPhone? You're real delicate with it. It's so special. When you set it down on a table, set it down like this, make sure it's safe, no smudges. And then what happens once 5 months goes by, 6 months goes by? you could give a crap about that iPhone. And all you're thinking now is, oh man, I just can't wait for the next generation iPhone. Oh, it's gonna be sick. Freaking nerd. So my question is this: what is your relationship with you? If you were to turn off the TV, put away the phones, put away the entertainment devices, if you were to turn off all the music, if you were just to have a quiet, peaceful dinner all by yourself, no distractions, are you having a good time with you, or are you bored? I'm sure if you don't have a good time with you, nobody's gonna have a good time with you. I would argue that if you don't even like being with you, no one's gonna like being with you. See, the thing about self-love is it eliminates neediness. And honestly, it's one of the most attractive things. Number 2, cultivate a servant's heart. Now, the thing about single dudes is that they spend a majority of their time just working on themselves, working on their looks, their appearance, trying to get bigger muscles, trying to enhance their looks, and which is great, don't get me wrong, but there has to be some sort of balance, my brother. Essentially, what you're really doing here is just training yourself year after year to become more and more selfish. The problem with always building, self-improvement is, hey, it's all good, don't get me wrong, but we all got a motive with what we're doing. And be real with yourself, bro. We look better so we can what? Get more girls. We look better so we can get more success. We're always working so we can get. I mean, think about it. Men are always looking at what they can get from a relationship. So I would challenge you to think to yourself, hey, what can I give to a relationship? You may have heard me just talk about this in a previous video in the last week or two. Us men, we were designed to pour in. Going back to our ancestral roots, what happened when Adam allowed Eve, his wife, to pour into him? It caused a chain reaction of sin, right? When he started eating the fruit out of his wife's hand, this caused sin to enter the world, and things haven't been the same since. So my question to you is, what are you going to pour into a woman? And don't get all weird and perverted. Oh, you know what I'm gonna pour in, Dre. No, bro, come on. Get your mind out of the gutter. If that's your instant go-to of what you're thinking right now, then, this video is just for you, bro, and you're the one who needs it most. See, before hooking up with chicks or finding love and naming babies, what are you going to be contributing to her spirit? What values are you going to pour in to the relationship to make it fruitful? What values are you going to pour into her, your girl, to help her become a better woman? These are things you got to think about before just jumping into relationships like most men do. They got no vision, no direction, and then the relationship's always crash and burn because he's got no leadership skills, and ultimately he's got just nothing to give. Number 3, have financial vision. Now notice I didn't necessarily say that you got to be like some high level, hotshot, millionaire, top G, no, just skip all that, bro, skip all that. Have a vision first, right? Like when I first met Bre, I think I've told you guys before, I wasn't making jack squat. I was making $300 a month, nothing. And so how did I present that to her? How did I present that to her parents? I showed them my game plan. I showed them, I had an actual layout, like a written document of how I was going to make more money, how I was going to provide. I showed them my businesses and what I got planned and what I'm gonna do to get there. Not that this was something that they required of me or anything like that. I just wanted to assure them, because at that time I wasn't doing so well financially. But what I did have was vision and direction for my life. And so for you single dudes out there, if you're not making that much money right now and you wanna find love, you wanna be ready for when that girl comes into your life, hey, at least have a layout. You gotta be putting your hands to something. You gotta have at least something started. Find something that even if you didn't get paid for it, you would still do it anyways. It was wild, bro. Right when I asked Bre to marry me, it's weird because I waited for her for 10 months, and then 10 months after we got together is when I actually married her. I actually just thought of that right now. That's wild. But it's just crazy how I stepped out in faith and I asked for her hand in marriage. And that moment forward, bro, that's when I struck my first deal with Hans de Foucault. And they were paying me like $2,400 a month to record 3 videos for them, post them on my YouTube channel. And this is what helped pay my rent when I finally got married to Bre. It was such a blessing. Number 4, become your most masculine self. Now, I'm just going to briefly cover this. Now, why is becoming more masculine so important, so vital? Because check this out. You're always going to attract your polar opposite. So say you got a scale, right? Right in the middle is 0. So out this way you got 1 to 10, and then out this way you got -1 to 10. And this is the femininity side. This is the masculinity side. No, say you're a little bit more on the feminine side. Say like you're a -4. You're not that much of a masculine guy. Well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to naturally attract your polar opposite, which is a more masculine chick, a more masculine girl who say if you're on the -4, she's going to be on the +4. And this is not what you want, bro, because relationships, they just naturally flow better when the man is more masculine and the woman is more feminine. That's why God set this into play. So say instead of being -4 on the feminine side, say you start working on yourself for the next handful of years and you plop yourself up to a positive 7 on the masculine side. Now you're going to attract a negative 7 on the feminine side. Negative 7 is pretty good for a woman. That's pretty feminine, bro. And so just keep that in mind. The more masculine you become, the more you attract more feminine woman. And check this out, bro, just real quick. It's so important that you understand what real masculinity is, though. I was talking to some people in our YouTube community the other day, and it kind of scared me that so many of us men still don't know what true masculinity is. One guy in the comments, actually, he said, you know, I am pretty masculine, but I love animals. And he was basically saying, like, what do I do? And it's like, bro, that's good. That's actually one of your most masculine traits. What did God tell Adam to do in the very, very beginning? He said to have dominion, to look over the animals, to take care of them. That was basically like our first mission as men. You know, say that's not a very masculine trait. No, bro, that 100% is. So I'm kind of saddened that some men think that this kind of love, this kind of emotion is not masculine, because in actuality, it really is. Being masculine is not about being emotionless. It's about being aware of those emotions, taking them, and we got to be willing to sacrifice ourselves, be willing to lay down our lives. If our house gets caught on fire and our child's in the other room, who goes on in? Who sacrifices himself? The man does. If the kids go hungry, who works to go put food on the table? The man does. Last year, my dog had a neck injury. Who got up in the middle of the night to go rush her down to the hospital? I'm a servant, bro. And that's what makes me a king. Now, if you guys want to know what true, real, godly masculinity is, I put together a 5-hour masculine masterclass. I'll link it down below if you guys want to check that out. And the last one, number 5, surrendering to God. During those 10 months of me having to wait for Bre, I'm not gonna lie, bro, like I was getting frustrated month after month after month. I just kept hearing God say, just wait, Dre, just wait, just wait. And I'm like asking God, how much longer do I gotta wait? And then I started questioning God. I'm like, is this really the wife that you have for me? Like you've been telling me. And I was getting so mixed up. I was getting confused, and I just kept getting more frustrated as time went by, because this is what I was doing wrong. I was putting my trust in a girl, Bre. I was putting my trust in the idea of being with her. I was trusting in that to make me happy, to fulfill me. And that's why I was getting so frustrated, because I was like, God, please just give me her. Just give me her. I'll be so happy. When what I should have done was say, hey, you know what, God? I trust you. I trust that, hey, whether I end up with Bre or not, I trust that you're the only one who's going to actually fulfill me and make me happy. And I know at the end of the day, you've got the perfect wife in store for me. That's the route I should have went. That's where my mindset should have been at, but it wasn't. And it took me 10 months to finally get to that state, to finally give it up, to finally surrender to God and just be like, let your will be done, God. If it is with Bre, then great. And if it's not, yeah, that sucks, but I know you got something in store for me. That's what I that's what I should have thought initially, and I think that's why it took me so long, 10 months to finally get with Bre and for things to finally work out. And it's wild, bro. I remember by the end of month 9, I was so frustrated, and so I went to God in prayer and I just said, hey, you know what, God? I give this to you. And I ended up going on a 21-day fast, and I did it just in surrenderance, and I just said, God, I surrender this all to you. I'm gonna stop looking at Bre's profile. I'm gonna stop going to my Instagram account and see what she's up to every single day. I'm gonna stop obsessing over her, and I'm just gonna move on with my life. And I told him, let your will be done, not mine. And so, long story short, 3 weeks go by, and on that 21st day, the day the fast ended, I'm back in church, and about 10 seconds before the service starts, I get a notification. It's Bre. And so I'll leave it there, bro. It's a crazy, wild story, what happens after all that. That's a whole nother video, a whole nother time. So if you want to hear about it, just let me know. If it's something that you're down to listening to, I'll put a little video together for you. But it's just crazy, bro. The exact moment when I surrender everything to God is the exact moment when Bre comes into my life. And the thing about surrenderance, bro, especially giving over your authority to Christ over your entire life, it's not an easy thing to do. That's why most men don't do it. But even though it's not easy, it's absolutely necessary, especially if you want to live your most fruitful life. You can't always necessarily just go off of your gut feeling, man. Just do you, man. No, bro, you need to plug out of yourself and plug into God completely. When you surrender to God, your life, it flows a lot more better. I'll say that. So hey, with that said, hope you enjoyed today's video. Please give it a nice big thumbs up. Hit the notifications button to be informed when I drop a new one. And be sure to check out this one right here. It's a powerful video. You won't want to miss it. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace always.